Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're glad that you could join us today for this important conversation. My name is Halima Songu, and I am the Communications and Marketing Manager here at Kuja. So I'm just going to give a small brief of who we are as Kuja and what we're doing and what we seek to achieve. So Kuja is an African social enterprise that is powered by ADESO, which is African Development Solutions, that was founded by Degan Ali. At Kuja, we are strong believers that the world where communities have the autonomy to create their own future is the world where they're able to thrive. And so we, through Kuja, provide solutions to these overcoming barriers that they face so that they're able to achieve their visions. The main purpose of Kuja and its launch was to equip organizations, local-led organizations and individuals to enhance the direct impact they have on communities and simplify their change efforts and necessary to do that. And so we have 4 practical solutions that we're using as Kuja, where we want to enable these local organizations to have a voice of their own. So these 4 practical solutions are Kuja Link, where we're using this platform to link organizations to funding. And how we're doing this is we are matching local organizations to the best fit funding opportunities and helping them when it comes to simplifying their proposal and development processes. And then we have Kuja Build, which is a platform that is going to help these local-led organizations build organizations' operational capacity. And how we intend to do that is offering back office support um, and filling operational and administrative gaps to enable these organizations to meet donor compliance requirements. Thirdly, we have Kujalan, which is basically a learning community. So we are creating community for change by ensuring that learning opportunities are accessible through our online platform. And through Kujaland, we are uh, helping in mindset change and skill building. And so how we do this is hosting events such as this one and learning cohorts where we're able to create connections across these invisible boundaries. And lastly, we have Kuja Advice, where we're able to simplify the growth and change process of these organizations by simply creating a marketplace where they can get pro bono expertise, and they can also collaborate in peer-to-peer idea sharing and advising. So that is Kuja in a nutshell. And today, as I've mentioned, we are building a vibrant and visible community of local organizations across the global South. And so this webinar is a part of how we as Kuja are bringing our mission to life. Today's topic is community-led development, the way our ancestors used to do it. And this particular topic or this particular session is deeply aligned with our commitment as Kuja to decolonize aid, shift the power, amplify local voices. So today we're spotlighting Rise for Foka, who are a volunteer-powered youth and community-led organization based in Malawi. And they are truly reimagining what sustainable, locally rooted development looks like. So we're going to learn much more about them, their organization, their work, and the impact they're making through the communities that they serve. But before we begin this session, a few pointers that I'd like to share with everyone on this call, and I will be posting this information on the chat as well. Before we begin, I'd like to mention that we are now using AI interpretation to offer simultaneous translation services. And so we have Buslingo on the call. And what happens here is basically on your screen, you'll be able to see a QR code. And so using your phone, you're able to scan this particular code. And when you scan this code, you're able to be directed to a link. So this particular link will share with you the different options of the languages that you need to follow this conversation in. And so that depends whether you want to have this conversation in Spanish or French, or you would like to just remain within the English language. And so what you need to do with the QR code that has been provided in the chat is basically scan this particular code and ensure that it leads you to the page where you're able to select the language of choice that you would like. If you have an issue with how to operate this particular system, there's a small question icon on the link that has been provided, and you can click on that for technical support. With that said, I would like to also encourage everyone who's on this call to please introduce yourself in the chat and tell us where you are joining us from and what you do and the organization that you're representing. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please ensure to put them in the Q&A or the chat at any time, and we'll try to answer as many as possible during the Q&A session, which will be after this engaging conversation. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our moderator for today's conversation, who is Marie-Rose, and she is the president of Romain Murphy Consulting, which is a management and strategy firm that is working with small to very large local, national, and international nonprofit organizations as a partner for community change. Marie-Rose, welcome.
Thank you very much, Halima, and thank you everyone for joining, and a big thank you to our panelists. Let me very quickly just jump in and set the stage for this conversation, which is critical, as Halima has talked about, in terms of talking about a model, sustainable community-led sustainable model of development, of community development. According to Oxfam, the cuts in aid, and particularly from US AIDS, we're talking about just a humongous impact. At least 23 million children stand to lose access to education, and as many as 95 million people are talking about losing access to basic health care. This is mind-boggling. So we're talking about potentially this situation leading to more than 3 million preventable deaths per year. And NEAR, which is a network of Global South organizations, 83% of their members have had to pause their programs. Countless local and national organizations have closed down, and many will not survive the year. So what are we to do? Some global leaders see opportunities for reinvention and redirection. Many local and national organizations are lost when it comes to where to go from here. This is a period of deep crisis, and Kuja is working on providing models that are community-led, not overly dependent on traditional aid. Speaking as such, we are excited to welcome Rise for FOCA. They are panelists, and especially Kondwani, the executive director, will be talking about the organization and telling you more about its model. So, having said that, it is a pleasure to welcome our panelists today. Kondwani Msiali is the founder and CEO of Rise for FOCA. Okay, is dedicated to sustainable community development. Charles Kasonga is the executive director of Madzi Connect, where he oversees the community development efforts of a local NGO that has improved the health, education, and economic opportunities and social justice of over 600,000 Malawans to date. Bhavda Naik is a qualified British financial manager. She works in a charity sector and was born in Zambia, where her parents originally immigrated from India. In 2022, she was posted to Malawi for 3 years as a finance manager for social enterprise. She's a passionate disruptor, believes in giving with grace and dignity, and embraces grassroots values and nature. Welcome and a huge thank you to all of you. I'm going to start with Kondwani. Kondwani, please tell us more about Rise for FOCA.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am very honored to be here and share the story of Rise for Poker Community Foundation. So let me just share my presentation with you so that we carry ahead. I hope you are able to see my presentation. Hello?
No.
Okay. Let me try and share my presentation with you again. Share screen. Share window. Yep, just a minute. You can see it now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I'm very honored to be here and to share the story of Rise for Poker Community Foundation. This is a community foundation rooted deep in the mountains of Livingstonia in the northern part of Malawi. But first of all, let me recognize and appreciate the presence of two dear partners in our work. The first one is Bhavina, a committed supporter who believes in what we do and invests in it with heart and humility. And we have Frank from Mudzi Connect Malawi. This is an organization, this is a community foundation support organization that has worked with us in advancing community philanthropy and supporting grassroots leadership. First, here you see a picture of us visiting and showering gifts to a venerable elderly person in our community. This is aligned with our philosophy that such kind of activity, such kind of work shouldn't wait upon the state or other businesses. It's something that we can take on our own. Our philosophy, we champion the philosophy that true development must come from within. I personally believe that we as communities already possesses everything we need to solve our problems and create meaningful change. It is no longer sustainable for us to wait on the market or the state to come and fix our challenges. As I said, the mindset of dependency is a colonial legacy, and it has kept our communities trapped in a cycle of waiting. Instead, I believe in reclaiming the indigenous spirit of self-reliance, the same spirit our ancestors used when they built, farmed, healed, and governed themselves using local resources, local knowledge, and unity. So at Rise for Poker, we are reviving this spirit and we are seeing results. So in picture is us working with communities, trying to revive the spirit of indigenous reliance, self-reliance. Just the origin of Rise for Poker and community context. We are based in Livingstonia in Rompi district, Malawi, the northern part of Malawi. Livingstonia is more than 1,300 meters above sea level. It's a mountainous place. It is a breathtaking place. But like many rural African communities, it is facing challenges like poverty, inequity, limited access to services, educational challenges, and environmental pressures. So looking at this, in 2020, I founded Rise for Poker to mobilize community assets. So these are people, skills, land, traditions, and use them to address our own problems sustainably. So our model is local giving, community-led development. So it is very simple but powerful. We engage communities in identifying their priorities, mobilize local resources. So on mobilizing local resources, this includes diaspora support, donations in kind, and small cash gifts. And those are matched with external support. So this is where Frank and Mozi Connect comes in. We also train people to see that they are not poor, to see that they are rich in potential. So this shift in mindset is the foundation of our work. We want people to realize that they have what it takes. So we have allies in our work. We have leveraged the platform for workaway volunteers. So these are people who bring their time, skills, and energy to support our work and our community initiatives. Livingstonia being a tourist place, we also partner with local tourist lodges like the Mushroom Farm, where we offer village tours and cultural exchanges for travelers. And in return, we earn income to support our projects. So this is how we met Bavina. We also cooperate with Msasa Mountain Camp, which supports our work with their corporate social responsibility programs. This is what we call allyship in action, community and friends working together. So our allies in action, Bavina and Frank. There are achievements that we're proud of. Together with our community and friends, here's what we have achieved. In picture, you see a hall with few mattresses and kind of so this is a hostel. So we are raising funds locally, and it is going on very well, to buy 60 mattresses for girls at the Livingstonia Community Day Secondary School. Community prioritizing their problems and mobilizing resources within to address this issue. We raised funds alongside workaway volunteers, where we bought a motorbike that now runs an elderly healthcare outreach clinic. In picture, you can see a local volunteer who rides door to door doing blood pressure checkups. This is serving over 200 elderly people who cannot easily reach the hospital. We are helping elderly people to cut the distance to the hospital. We're bringing the hospital to their homes. You are seeing a teller in the picture. This is a local teller volunteering. We received a 1,000 Australian dollars grant from the Zonta Club of Australia, which we used to buy a sewing machine, and we are making reusable pad materials. And we have managed to distribute pads to over 300 girls in nearby primary schools. This is helping to keep girls in school. We are helping to fight menstrual poverty. In picture, you can see this is a training session on mushroom production. We trained over 100 women and youth in mushroom farming to create new income streams for families. We lead market cleanup campaigns. and to a point of installing a waste bin at the trading center. And we are now planning to build a waste disposal site. So you can see in picture, these are issues, developmental issues that in normal sense, communities would say it's the responsibility of the government. But we say, no, we have what it takes. We have the resources, we have ourselves, we have our skills, and we can address the issues in our communities. To continue our efforts, we're thinking of how to remain sustainable. We are planning to open a night school, an open school that we're launching with Bavina's support in September. So what is happening is we're not building new blocks, but we realized the distance that students take to the only school, the Livingstonia Community Day Secondary School that I was talking about in the previous presentation slides, the distance that students take to Livingstonia. It is fed by a number of schools from different communities. So we thought of engaging the communities of this problem, and we are launching an open secondary school at one of the primary schools using the already existing blocks. We also present our story at the African Philanthropy Conference in Zimbabwe with the support of Mudzi Connect Malawi. Already over 500 people in our community are engaged in local giving, in the practice of community philanthropy, to understand that giving is not only for the rich, and that sustainability must come from ownership. We are, in picture there, you see a dumbo land where we are growing fish, potatoes, we're doing farming to sustain our programs. We are also committed to climate advocacy. Through these initiatives, we encourage communities to plant trees, manage trash in public spaces as part of their development, combining environmental dignity with livelihoods. We don't treat climate as a separate issue. It is a development issue, a survival issue, a justice issue. Looking forward, we are working with Bavina on a piece of land she helped us to buy. So our plan is to farm this land and use the profits to drive our community programs sustainably. So this land is different from the dumb land that I showed in the previous slide. So this is a commercial land that we're going to farm it and use the profits to sustain our projects, from girls' education to elderly care to environmental initiatives, all those. This is truly the new phase of development, community helping community, with partners who work alongside us, not in front of us. Our final note is a philosophical reflection. As I close, I want to leave you with this. We don't believe that charity is the answer. We believe that dignity, solidarity, and agency are. We believe that the village, the communities, can rise not by waiting, but by acting. And that is what we are doing in Livingstonia. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Oops. Kandwani, do you want to stop sharing? Okay, perfect. I don't know why there is an echo. That's very weird. I think it's okay now. Can you hear me without the echo? Okay, perfect. Kondwani, I love what you're doing. I love, in terms of your community, the idea of community helping community, and incrementally, very organically, really growing on this very same formula, just sustainable development at its best. And one of the things that you said struck me. You basically said philanthropy is not necessarily for the wealthy people, and that very often in communities, people don't realize what they have. And one of the things that you sort of like talk and share with them is that no, they are not poor. They can contribute. Having said that, because we're talking about, philanthropy and what it means, because very often, because we, in our countries, a lot of our countries, we've had very long-standing traditions of people helping each other, community traditions about helping and doing things. One of the things that, struck me is when you, Bhavna, said, well, community development, the way our ancestors used to do it. And that's what attracted you. And you also stressed, you said, I'm not that you're not wealthy, but you can make a difference. Can you please, I just want to pass it over to you and tell us your story, what it means to you to be involved and to be supporting who you are.
Thank you, Marie Rose. So I had the pleasure of meeting Kondwani's team just from an initiative that he had started. So I'd been going to the mushroom farm on a holiday break, and they were offering the cultural tour, and that attracted me. So I, took a morning out, a couple of hours, went for the walk with one of his volunteer staff. And as we were walking, we talked a lot and, had a really insightful interaction with him. And from that, one of the things I came to realize was that they had only one secondary school in the area, and some people were walking up to 2 hours to the school, and then it'd be 2 hours back. So that was he stated it as a matter of fact, and I was struck by that. And then I had the pleasure of meeting Kondwani. Fascinating person, fascinating. All the initiatives they do, and essentially, he's already grasped the bull by the horn. And with his community, he's already started doing these things. So that was really enlightening, because I've come there as a foreigner. I work for a foreign charity. So it was just nice to see that they had also started engaging the community and doing things. And I think that is far more impactful than having foreign money come in, because this foreign money will come in, is designated to a little project, but there's no really ownership. And so where Kondwani gave me I suppose, the pleasure of saying we're walking together, I would say no, I am walking behind him and he is leading. So at the mushroom farm, I was with other tourists there, and somebody was buying land, and I sort of came to find out that this land was something which I could afford, but I wouldn't necessarily want it for myself, because I'd want a little piece of it overlooking the lake. Besides that, there's not really much more I would really want to do for myself. So that's when I gave Kondwani a call and called him over to the mushroom farm, and I said, okay, you look for this, see what there is here. And we just planted the vision together. And the idea was to aim for somewhere where it's quite a tourist location as well, so people would go there. And yeah, he's struck gold in that. He did identify land very quickly, by a mountain where hikers would come. And I said, okay, in the future we would probably build a little restaurant there, and there we'd be selling foods which are attracted to the tourist, even pizzas maybe or something. just so that it's an area where people would come especially and say, hey, you know, there's so this land has got lots of potential. And even with my Asian background, I would even think to maybe do a healing center there because it's up in the mountains. So lots of potential, what we could do with it. But initially we will farm it and you know, see what we can get from that. So it is almost like a business model where, you know, we can say, right, we need to invest in assets and then, you know, farm it. And obviously I'm not going to go there and, you know, with my pick and axe, it'll be the local people who'll do it. So it is everybody coming together and they'll be selling to the local communities there. So it's just, I'm pretty much getting Kondwani to do everything, to say, go off to Tanzania, see what the prices are like for whatever, see what we can buy from there, go to Chipiku, the local shops, and say, will you buy from us? So it's, you know, it's doing it at all angles, sourcing, distribution, getting the workforce sorted out. So at many levels there is a lot to do. And this, Mary Rose, is a long-term commitment from all of us. So we're not doing it with any degree of speed. You know, the land's been bought, it's as good as parked, it's in the name of the charity, so nobody can do anything with it. Nobody in Kondwani's community even knows about me, so this is probably the first time they'll hear that there's actually a foreigner in the background. So we've kept it really low key, my presence. And then, you know, he came as soon as he said, oh, okay, the school idea, let me approach the primary committee and say, could we use your premises for the afternoons? So that's all got underway. So a lot of it is, you know, I plant the idea, but they then run with it and see what they can come up with in the end. So even the teachers, Kondwani will reach out to his circle and you know, get hold of people who, you know, we're not here to make anybody super rich, but it is something which they can contribute and bring a whole community up. And it is a rising of a community, and that's what we want to do. Marie Rose, I think you're on mute.
Thank you, Bhavna. I think it's fantastic. I think, you know, you made me smile when you said, you know, people had no idea that you're behind this. And I guess for me, it's refreshing because there's been a lot of discussion within sort of like the aid sector about people putting their names and their logos and, you know, wanting not just recognition, but branding the projects left and right. So it's extremely refreshing. And the idea also that you've said, you know, Kondwani said, you know, I'm working with him, but I really want to be working behind him. Just the idea that community must lead. So thank you, Bhavna, for everything that you're doing, and then the spirit of this type of collaboration and support and engagement. But that leads me to Frank, because, you know, when we were planning this webinar, you sort of like made it clear that this formula, what you saw in Rise for FOCA, was key in terms of the values that you're trying to promote and what you believe is necessary for the next stage of development. Can you tell us more about your work, why you so and why you're working with Rise for FOCA, and your philosophy and your vision?
Thank you so much, Mary Rose, and indeed, thank you, everyone. Really glad to be part of this very good discussion. So, MultiConnect is now 7 years, just celebrating 7 years of working in the country under the philosophy that Malawians can help Malawians live better lives. So why do we do that? I think going by the title of our discussion today, if you come to Malawi, some of you that have not been to Malawi, you see and understand that in the years gone by, everything that happened in the community, people used to come together and support each other. You could not find an orphan starving in the community because people were taking care of the orphans. As at the moment, or even back then, including now, I have never had a funeral suffering that ceremony cannot take place because people come and contribute towards that. And above all, I have seen several churches, institutions that are being built by contributions to Malawians. So when we started this, we said, what changed? So what changed was that Malawians started to denigrate and started acting individually. At the end of the day, the trust aspect was eroded. So people could not come and contribute money towards an NGO because they don't trust that that money is going to be used for the intended purposes. What does that mean? It simply means Malawians have capacity to finance their own development, but they are lacking the area and the conduit where that money can be channeled through. And this is where we came to the point of formulating community foundations and looking at groups that are doing exactly what we're already doing, we are thinking. And this is where Rise for Poker came in, because when we found them already doing something similar, trying to bring local people in Livingstonia together. And what we said was like, you are already ahead, and can we just work with you to build the trust so that more people, not just within, from far and wide, can come and work with you, support what you have, bridge what you have, and indeed build upon what you already have to ensure that you expand the impact that you are making in your communities. And then this is what is happening. So for us as an organization, we are coming here to ensure that we build the capacity of organizations. We know that some of these organizations are started by young people that have not worked elsewhere. They need financial capacity, they need technical knowledge, they need the how-to. And this is what we are doing with Rise for Poker. And we have already built their capacity for the board, the capacity for the management. And we are even going there probably the end of July again to do another training with them. The essence is that whenever people like Bavina and other community members are coming into that community, they should have a structure that is well respected. And the community itself, when they don't think, they should know their money is safe. This is all in the sense of self-reliance. We want to build towards communities that are self-reliant. And I think the most important aspect that I want to make is, if you have observed the trend in development lately, tackled by USAID Living, I think many organizations, high-profile community donors are saying, we are leaving, we are cutting aid, we're cutting aid. And I think where we are going is where Bavina and Kondwani are saying, what can we invest in the community that can generate resources? And with those resources, we can help support the initiatives that are in the communities. So that's what we're doing as MultiConnect. Just out of information, we are now working with 11 community foundations across the country, which Kondwani is part of that team and network. And they have also formed their own network, is Community Foundations of Malawi there. And the Kondwani's team is the secretary in that network. So it's building the movement of bringing back the way our development used to be done, where people used to come together and contribute their resources. I think one challenging that has been given to us by the so-called donors is the belief that we have nothing. And yet we are full of things that we can do, the knowledge, the intelligence, the skills, and everything that we can do. And that is what we are challenging. Thank you so much.
Frank, I have to add the dance moves as well.
Oh, I love that, Bavda. I love that. But, you know, and I think that is the other thing that I think in terms of going and working with communities, it's the spirit and the sense of humor. It doesn't matter what issues are or whatever people are facing, if it's a disaster or if things are going well, the sense of humor and the shared laughter and everything else is always there, you know? And I think that's also why people should just build communities and networks and organizations and do work like that, to just come together in good spirit. But one of the things that I think is striking, Frank, is when you said basically, you know, people come and sort of like tell you that you have nothing. And, you know, it is still critical because it reflects what Kondwani has said And it is such a critical piece because very often people come, and even with the best of intention, you know, people come from the outside and they come in and they just focus on your problems. And that is a perception that you end up internalizing, that communities end up internalizing. Like, oh, we don't have anything, we don't know, we don't have the knowledge, we can't take care of ourselves. And there is so much unlearning to do. So I just want to say, just go very quickly. And I wonder now, I mean, I want to thank everyone for coming. Do you have any questions among the attendees, the participants? Any questions, any comments? People are being very quiet. Oh, I see. I see a hand raised. Combo, Desiree, and I see a couple of hands. So should we start by Combo and then SK London afterwards? Feel free to speak up. He's on mute. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Thank you so much for a really interesting Zoom session. It was lovely to hear what's been happening and how the community has been supported. So I am an activist based in London, and my question would be to any of the panel, which is, what do they see as the biggest challenge to progressing these initiatives? And what is the next thing that they are working on in terms of their next short-term goal?
Who wants to take the question? Kondwani, what is the biggest challenge?
Hello, SK London. Thank you very much for your question. So I feel like the biggest challenge is in the mindset of the individuals. That's why in my presentation, I emphasized on us, you know, training the people that you are not in lack, you are not poor, because it's like the people are so so afraid of taking the step, are so afraid of stepping out of this cycle of dependency. So I would say that is the challenge. So looking forward, it is like it is us investing in more training, more teaching, more engagements with the communities for them to realize. And I've seen it bearing results. And the moment we talk to people about this, the more they realize. So it's rewarding to see that people are real. You're trying to change the mindset of people from the state where they thought they have nothing, or they're in lack, and you come in telling them that they have what it takes. So as Frank said, Music Connect has built our capacity in things like community assets. So when we approach communities and tell and show them that they have assets within their reach, they tend to realize, like, oh, you guys are right, we can do this, and they are always willing to do that. So I think that's how I could take that question, Marie Rose. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bhavna?
I just want to sort of say that the mindset we want to get people to understand is just to say that it's every human's birthright to give and contribute and not just be takers.
Yeah.
Yes, Frank?
No, I just want to
I'm loving this. So Frank, yeah.
I just wanted to add on that question to say, I think it's very difficult to change people or to unlearn what people have been used to. I think that's the biggest challenge we have. We used to do this development the way that we're talking now, but people unlearn that to an area where they were recipients of aid. And that's the mindset that we're trying to change now, because we want them to unlearn that and start being givers or transformers of their own community. I'll give you a typical example. In Malawi, for example, if I'm hosting a training on proposal development, people used to be asking for allowances from me as a trainer. But what we're saying is, if you are being able to generate knowledge from there, you are the one that's supposed to pay for that particular training, because you are gaining skills from what you are gaining. So that's the change that we're trying to do. And I think the second challenge is for us as we're movers and shakers of this community work, philanthropy work, we want to figure out a way of how these groups like Rise for Poker can have working capital as Rise for Poker is doing to do the training, so that kind of working capital can generate resources for the long term to loosen the aspect where communities can be giving each and every year. But if we have investments that they can be generating resources, those resources can then be used for development within their economic aspects. I think those are the main challenges that we're facing currently.
I also think that, because it's interesting because, I'm from Haiti and I'm very involved. So like I co-founded the Haiti Community Foundation, and we went through a long process, and some of this resonates. And one of the things that we did when we went through a planning process, a long time ago, at that point, what are we talking about? Like about 12 years ago, if not more, is that one of the things that people had to realize that it's not only that they had assets, but they were assets. And that is, when you come and the damage that sort of like that happens when people tell you, you don't know, you don't have anything, we want to help you. There is this internalization process of a sense of powerlessness. And while you can do, so this unlearning process is a critical piece, but the validation process too at the same time. No, you are an asset. When you're looking at the community and what you're trying to do in your community and what you've been able to do with practically nothing, okay? You have to see yourself as an asset. You're one of the main assets as a community leader. So, and as a community member. So definitely, that's an excellent question. It's like, what's the biggest challenge? And really the change of mindset is something that really takes time to take care of. Any other question? Because we're coming, I know we started a little bit late. So any other question? I thought I saw another hand at one point. Did we lose that person? Signal can be tough. Desiree, yes. Or Campbell, yeah. Please go ahead.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. My name is Kumbo Muntali. I am a Malawian, currently based in the United States, but I am originally from Poker. So I've been following Kondwani and Rise for Poker for some time now. And with Kondwani, we've never had a conversation before. But the last time I saw a post about this webinar, I was like, I need to jump in. And I'm coming in just to say everything that is being discussed in this webinar is something that I've been trying to push as well within people that I've interacted with my wife. So I would say I really love what we are talking about here. It's something that I also strongly believe that communities in Malawi, they have the capacity to bring change. The biggest thing is just changing the mindset, like my countrymen are also pointing out, and even as my other fellow attendees are also pointing out, communities can change without donor aid, and it's something I strongly believe. So this is something I want to be a part of. At this moment, honestly speaking, my blood is still boiling because I'm like, I've been searching for like-minded people who we can push agendas like this in the communities in Malawi. My wife is from the US, and when she came to Malawi, there was charity initiatives she wanted to start, but I had to bring those to a stop because I said, if we cannot have a plan for sustainability, how these communities can sustain these things with the resources within, then we don't need to start, because at the time I'll talk of issues like what we've just experienced, UNICEF pulling out, other organizations pulling out. What are people now doing? People are stranded because everything that was being done, there was no plan for sustainability. So for me, I love what's happening here, and I want to be a part of a solution. This is something that I know is going to take longer, but if I'm just a spark in the movement that's going to light up the fire, maybe years after maybe we are gone dead, I'm happy to be a part of that history that we had to initiate changes like this. So big up to everyone who is doing this, and yeah, we can do it.
I think that's fantastic. This is the idea. Let's spread the word, let's talk, let's connect. This is an opportunity, and here it is. So beyond this webinar, there will be connection being made. That's the idea. We are past time though, even though this is extremely, I think this is a wonderful conversation. I love the fact, Kambo, that you came through and you're connecting, and I imagine that you'll be connecting with Kondwani. And so thank you, everyone. I want to close, and I will pass it over to Halima. So after really thanking everyone from the panelists to the participants. Halima.
Thank you, Marie-Rose, and thank you so much to all of you who took the time to be with us here today. A huge thank you to our speakers of the day, and to our participants. We hope today's conversation really sparked some ideas in you, or inspired you, or really made you feel, more connected to others, like-minded individuals who are doing important work across our global South. So just to remind you about Kuja and who we are and this particular event, we're an online platform and community that seeks to amplify the work of local organizations, and we're doing this by connecting them with a global audience. And so by joining the Kuja family, you'll be able to gain visibility, resources, and opportunities where you're able to engage in rich global conversations such as this one. We're really happy to have hosted this particular session. We have learned a lot, and we're truly, truly grateful for, the time it took to plan all this out. And finally, we're always open to questions, be it feedback, or ideas for partnerships, especially if you're interested in hosting a future webinar or collaborating with Kuja in any other possible way that you think, would benefit this ecosystem of ours. Simply reach out to us by shooting us an email at info@kuja.org. I've indicated this particular email on the chat. And we also have a growing WhatsApp community where we post updates such as, information about these kind of webinars, grant opportunities, etc. And so I have also posted the link to the WhatsApp chat on the group. Once again, thank you so much, and looking forward to see you again in our next webinar. Do have a good afternoon.
Thank you. And please check out Rise for FOCA, because our key objective is to amplify Global South organizations and support Global South communities. So connect, support, find out more about the people that were engaging. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.